Welcome back to The Book Stop. I'm so excited to talk about today's episode. Fair warning moving forward, this podcast does contain spoilers as we go over major events within the novels. Before we get into it, don't forget to follow us on Apple, Spotify, and Instagram at The Book Stop Podcast. And welcome back to another episode of The Book Stop. We are joined today by my friend and new neighbor, Ashley.
Woo!
What book did you bring for us to talk about today?
Today I brought Turtles All the Way Down by John Green.
Oh, perfect. I actually suggested this book because I wanted to get a John Green book in here because I loved John Green when I was in high school, so I wanted to try something different from him. This is one of his newer books, and I was like, you know what, let's just dive in and learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit about the author before we even get into anything. If you don't know who John Green is, I would be surprised. He's a pretty well-known author, especially for the youth out there. Started out as a YouTuber, so he got a lot of his followings through there. And he started writing in 2005, and his first book was Looking for Alaska. I think his biggest one was Fault in Our Stars, when they got the movie and stuff, and he got a big following from that. And this is his first book since that one. So I don't remember when Fault in Our Stars came out.
2014? I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, then we got this book, Turtles All the Way Down. What we're going to start out playing is I want you to summarize this book in 15 words or less.
Ooh,
Try
fun.
your best.
Okay. Aza is struggling. Friend and Aza want to solve murder, still end up sad.
Alright, very good, very good. I mean, you honestly, you hit all the nails on the head. That's all I gotta say.
There you go.
So I'm gonna summarize this book for anybody that hasn't heard this story before. 16-year-old Aza never intended to pursue the mystery of fugitive millionaire Russell Pickett, but there's a $100,000 reward at stake, and her best and most fearless friend, Daisy, is eager to investigate. Together, they navigate the short distance that separates them from the Russell Pickett's son, Davis. Aza is trying. She's trying to be a good daughter, a good friend, a good student, and maybe even a good detective, while also living with the ever-tightening spiral of her own thoughts.
Nice.
So yeah, before we even get into it, I will put a trigger warning here, but there is going to be character death, mention of suicide, mental illnesses, and stuff like that. So if this isn't your thing, I would skip ahead and go to another episode, but we're going to dive right into it. So what quote did you bring as your favorite?
All right, so the quote that I brought is, "The worst part of being truly alone is you think about all the times you wished that everyone would just leave you be. Then they do, and you are left being, and you turn out to be terrible company."
Oh, very good.
Relate to that one, so you know.
That's the thing with John Green. He's very good at bringing one-liners. Mm-hmm. Very good at writing those types of lines that you're like, whoa, hold on a second. Sometimes they're a little harsher than they need to be.
Yeah, it's a little deep at times. Like you said, that's a one-liner that just hit me, because I feel like that's how I've always felt. I just wish that I was alone all the time, and there have been a few points in my life where I was just alone with my own thoughts, and I was like, man, I hate this. My own thoughts suck. I need someone to, I don't know, bring some humor in or something. I think I'm a pretty humorous person. When I'm alone, it's sad times.
This book is very good at showing, the hidden side of being alone when you're with your own thoughts, and how impactful that they are, even though they don't seem like they are. But somebody could be completely zoned out, but they're really just kind of struggling with their own mindset. That's a very good quote. The quote I brought is, "You think you are the painter, but you're really just the canvas." I really like this one because I think it embodies pretty much the whole story, where Ava feels like she's in control of her life, but she's just really not. Even today, where it feels like we're holding the brush of what we want ourselves to be like, but it's really just the world around us that's holding the brush, and how everything around us impacts us. So
that's good. I like that.
Yeah, so we're going to dive right into it. So what were some things that you liked about the book? What are some things that you didn't like about the book?
I guess I do like how John Green did depict mental illness in the book. Sometimes it did feel like it was very stereotypical, but at the same time, it gave a very accurate representation of what someone may feel if they are struggling with some sort of mental illness, or something like OCD, or I kind of related in more of, like, a way of, like, I'm a hypochondriac, and some of the things that I was reading, I was like, yeah, that's pretty spot on. Like, I'm on Google all the time looking up things, because I'm so paranoid that I'm, like, sick or something. Like, he did a really great job at, like, describing Aza and her struggles, everything that was going on with her. So for my dislikes, it just felt like John Green was trying to put a lot of different topics into one book, and because of that, it couldn't have an ending that really concluded everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was like there were a lot of points that were brought up that I would have liked to see a little bit more about, but then there wasn't enough book. So, like, the plot kind of went everywhere. They're solving a mystery, but at the same time, they're, like, kind of starting different relationships with other people, and then there's also, like, the family trauma, so then they go into the family trauma, and then they go into mental health, and then they go into just so many different things. I'm like, well, where are we going? And, you know, it just gets a little much, because at the end, I kind of feel like, where were we? Where did we go here?
Like, if it was a little bit longer, he could have made those all have a stronger, like, closure at the end, where a lot of them was kind of left astray, and you're like, well, where did this leave off to? So, yeah, I agree in that sense that I had a hard time, like, keeping up with the plot of the story. At points, I was like, what is the plot? What are we talking about again? Because I kind of forget what's going on. I wish he would have just stuck with the mystery, if that's what he wanted to go for. Definitely, like, put in that the mental illness, because I think that's good to show the character of Aza, and that's how she is. And I think that he did a good job with describing that and playing that out, but it just felt like a lot, like you said. I didn't like how everything kind of fell over each other, trying to keep up. I didn't like the conversations between the characters. I'm very focused. When I read stories, I love character development, character background, character design. Like, I love characters. That's what draws me into stories. And I liked Aza and Daisy and everybody, but the interaction between each one was very... I don't know, it's weird because they talked maturely, but then they didn't. Felt like they were older than what they were, and then all of a sudden it was like they were reminded of how young they were, and they were like, well, I need to pretend like I'm young again. So I personally didn't like that back and forth. Some things that I did like was I liked Aza's character because I liked how in depth he got with it, like the way that her deep, dark thoughts are, and how he wasn't really afraid to dive in and to see that scarred background of hers. I loved the dinosaur. It was a bit insane. It was a bit why. The Tuatara is this animal that lives at this kid's house, and he has his own zookeeper because he's endangered.
I think so.
He's like an endangered species. I was thinking, what does this have to do with the plot? But I loved it. I was like, okay. We're going to come back to the Tuatara, don't worry.
Okay.
So I want to talk about Aza specifically. So Aza's our main character. She suffers from OCD and severe anxiety. Throughout the story, you kind of see her mental illness get a little bit more open with the readers. Like, at first, you kind of don't see it a ton, and it's very sneaky. And then the more she gets with it, the more you see how she's kind of imprisoned within herself. You get to kind of see it open up a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like at the beginning it was really focused on just the cut that she has on her finger, because throughout the story, that's like the one thing that remains constant when she is talking about her struggles, is that she is picking her finger. It bleeds, and then she cleans it with hand sanitizer and covers it with a Band-Aid. So, like, that was the main thing, and then it felt like, using her terms, like, spiraled further into the story, into a little bit more.
Like, in a very intrusive thought. Like, at first you mentions it, like, once or twice, and you're thinking, oh, maybe, like, it hurts or something, so it comes back. But really, it's becoming this, like, intrusive thought that it's the only thing she starts thinking about. Specifically when she gets into the scene of the hospital. Deathly afraid of going to a hospital because she doesn't want to get C. diff was, like, one of the big things. So when she got into the hospital, she... freaking out. I don't remember why she got to the hospital.
A car accident.
Oh!
Because of talking to Daisy.
Yeah, okay. She gets stuck in the hospital, and the thumb thing comes back. It's just getting worse and worse and worse because she's getting more stressed out, and then she gets to the point where she starts drinking the hand sanitizer that's in the hospital because she thinks that her insides aren't clean. It just shows the progression of the story where at first you don't realize how important it is to her, and then farther on it kind of like the story that this is a big part of her and how intrusive thoughts are really shaping her life, and how she's kind of imprisoned in her own thoughts, where she tries to stop herself from falling into that rabbit hole, but she just can't.
I know we're probably going to get more into relationships later, but kind of onto the hand sanitizer thing. It just blows my mind that no one really sees this part of her. She doesn't allow people to see it. But in the hospital, people saw what she was actually going through. Like, her mom saw her drink hand sanitizer. And of course she was worried, but it just felt like no one was helping Aza. People knew that she was struggling and didn't help her. Like, her mom saw her drinking hand sanitizer and didn't freak out. She freaked out, but there wasn't any discussion on it later in the book.
Yeah.
And then, like, Aza was pretty open with Daisy, but then Daisy just called her self-absorbed. I feel like Aza was giving a call for help so much, and just no one helped her. And we didn't see that at all in the entire book. So it's like, that part was kind of frustrating.
I have a lot to say about Daisy and Aza's relationship. Before we get into it, we're going to talk about our favorite characters. So who did you say is your favorite character in the story?
I think I relate most to Aza, but my favorite character is Davis, because I just felt like he was a very down-to-earth character, and he had been through a lot. I've never been rich. It would be very nice if I was rich, but I do feel bad for those kids who are like, yeah, they're rich, but they have nothing else. His dad really never showed care for him at all. Like, his mom died. He had his brother, but his brother was so infatuated with his dad that he never received love from him.
And his house is getting left to Atara. So.
Right. Right. Like, his dad didn't even leave his inheritance to his sons. He left it to a lizard. Like, you know, I just feel for Davis, and I feel like he, like I said, a very down-to-earth character, and I really liked how he comforted Aza, and he just seemed like a very stable person in Aza's life compared to a lot of the other people. Even though they cared about Aza, I just feel like Davis was really good for Aza at that period of her life. Like, she needed Davis, even though, another long story, Aza kind of using him in a way, but they cared about each other, and I really liked his character overall. Yeah,
I also liked how they had a little bit of background, too, because they were...
they met at a camp for kids who lost a parent, I think.
That's a camp.
Right.
Jeez, I didn't know that. They have camps for everything, apparently. Because what I was really worried about was that their relationship was just going to be like, oh, she just got with him for his money. And, like, obviously she wanted to be more friends with him to get more information about the investigation. But at the same time, like, he didn't really know a ton about what was going on. And then they eventually did start kind of falling for each other. So I like that they had something that kind of made them kind of grasp onto each other. And I agree. I think that he was really good with her. I was a little sad that they didn't end up together at the end, but also very happy that they didn't. I think it was a good way to end the story, where it wasn't the cliche way of being like, oh, you know, the boy gets the girl and they figure, like, all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that he kind of took a different route with that. My favorite character, I said, was Aza. We talked about her a lot so far, and all of that is still true. Like, I think she's a very complex character. She's definitely the most developed character in the story. I found her very compelling and interesting, and like we said earlier, I wish there was more, so we could have developed her out even more and see her, like, progress later in the story and see her get a little bit better with her own thoughts and stuff. So I want to just talk about the plot. I know we talked about it for a second. I want to dive into the plot. Basically, it starts out, you know, there's this news article about the billionaire guy going missing because he was committing fraud and all this kind of stuff. Davis, who is his son, he's kind of staying secluded. He doesn't really want to get in all the drama because he doesn't know what's going on. All he knows is that his dad left him and his younger brother... Noah, yeah. Who is really getting emotionally and, you know, mentally affected by this. So he lost his mom, and now he's losing his dad. Davis really has to step up and be the big brother in this. So they were in the canoe on the lake, and then they were trying to get security footage from the day that his dad left, and they get caught by the groundskeeper.
The security guard.
The security guard, yeah. And then that's when they kind of brought him to the estate, and Daisy's like, girl, you need to get with him. And, you know, she was being a good wingman for there. She's like, you know what, I'm gonna leave, You stay, do what you gotta do to get that information.
A little manipulative.
A little bit. But, you know, she got a purpose. She got things to do. And then some other things happen.
I feel like it's not that important, but for some reason they talk a lot about Daisy's fanfiction, and it kind of goes into that, and then it's like the Star Wars fanfiction that Daisy has.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, that's, again, another thing that's added in there that I'm like, where did
Why?
we go with this?
And then, and then Aza's, like, a character in there, because Daisy doesn't actually like Aza.
Yeah.
And then, because Aza never read it, she never knew.
Right.
And then Davis read it and was like, I loved this Aza character.
Right.
And I was like, what's happening?
And that's the reason why Aza got in the car accident, is because she was talking to Daisy about the fan fiction. Yeah, anyways, so that's, like, a part of it. I think that's, like, part of Aza and Daisy's, like, character development as a relationship. Maybe that's what he was trying to do there, like...
Maybe, like, to cause drama? Or to, like, build the character?
And then that's around the time when they start doing the research for the mystery and start looking into the police footage and all that other stuff.
No, see, here's my theory. I thought the zookeeper killed the dad. Because, you know, he takes care of Chiwatara. So he's like, I'm connected to this. And maybe if I kill the dad, the money is going to this reptile. I take care of the reptile. So I could take the money for myself and this big old mansion that he lives in. So that was my theory. Turns out that's not what happened.
I feel like it still could have, because, I mean, we don't know a ton about how he died.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of
true.
just like they found him under the tunnels or whatever. Yeah, like, it could have been, like, a suicide thing, or it could have been, like, a murder. I think that's why I keep thinking murder, because the dad died at the end.
I feel like they never really say, like, they never do, like, an autopsy or anything. Yeah. So we had this whole fallout with Aza and Daisy, and we have this whole scene of Davis meeting her mom, which was a little weird.
Yeah.
Because, like, he cried the first time he met her. Like,
right. Yeah, that part, I mean, it's another part of the book that felt like it was kind of thrown in there, but we didn't talk about later.
Yeah, if they explained more of why he felt this emotional connection to her mom, then I feel like they could have drawn it out a little bit more. But I found that meeting to be very weird.
Yeah, it was. And I think at the time, like, Aza wasn't even sure if she wanted to be with him.
Yeah.
So it also felt weird to be like, let's meet my mother.
It felt very forced, yeah. And then he never came back, or maybe one other time he came back. And then the ending was wild as well.
It was like Aza and Daisy, and they smelled like this really weird smell, and I think they ended up finding Davis's dad down there. But because Davis, this is something that we also need to talk about, Davis giving Aza $100,000.
Yeah.
But because Davis gave Aza $100,000, Daisy and Aza wanted to give Davis the opportunity to turn it in himself. They told Davis, and Davis ended up calling the police on the tip line because he just wanted to be done with it all.
Yeah.
And after that, he just moved to a different state, Colorado or something, maybe
somewhere.
With his aunt, I don't know, but he moved with his brother to Colorado. Yeah,
I think it's good for him. He needed to get away from that. He needed someone other than, you know, just him and the zookeeper at the house and Lyle, the security guard. So he needed to be with, like, actual family. So I'm glad that they kind of, like, I'm glad that he didn't stay with Aza. Yeah. I'm glad that he kind of chose himself and his family over her, which just sounds bad, but at the same time, it's not following that cliche, and he does what's better for him. I like how that ended better than him just staying there and, you know, his landlord being that dinosaur, you know?
Right. And I guess quickly, just with Aza, the book ending with just her saying that she thinks she has a future. And the whole book she thought she didn't have a future. And at the end she's like, well, after all of this is said and done, I have a future now.
Yeah.
But we didn't really
see it.
Yeah. And we didn't know what happened between her and Daisy, really, and it ended very abruptly. Yeah.
Speaking of abruptly, we're gonna hop into our favorite relationship here. My favorite relationship was the zookeeper and the Chiwatara. Just kidding, but that would be so funny. Just imagine.
They're so cute together.
No, I said that my favorite relationship was Daisy and Aza, because I found that they had a very, like, interesting relationship where they knew it was not a good friendship. They called each other out and was like, we are not good friends. And they called each other out, they called themselves out, they were like, this is not a good relationship. But they were willing to fix it. They were willing to work on what they needed to work on to still be friends, because they have been through a lot with each other. And in the end, they kind of see each other as, you're going to be there for me no matter what. We just need to be more honest with each other so we can stay in each other's lives. Also, obviously being a wingman. Right. Daisy's the best wingman you can ever find in this land.
She's got her back.
She's got her back no matter what. I completely forgot about the fan fiction now that you're mentioning it, but I felt like that was very interesting, to literally roast your friend and just completely hate on her via Star Wars fan fiction.
My friend never reads it, so I could just type whatever I want in my Star Wars fan fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that one was mine. I just found it very interesting for this kind of story. A little wild and a little out there, but it added a little bit to the story, a little bit character development, a little bit relationship wise. So
right. Yeah, I like that relationship too, for sure. Like I said, I just wish that Daisy supported Aza a little bit more rather than being like, you're a self-absorbed bitch, and was like, hey, you have some struggles, let me help you out with that. I don't know, you be drinking hand sanitizer recently? Like, let's talk about that. Right. But instead, she just kind of seems to like really have this hate for Aza in a weird way. But I think they have a good friendship too. It's just back and forth, kind of.
Like, I know a lot of it was because Aza's so in her head all the time that she doesn't care about Daisy. I know a lot of it was like, you don't even know my mom's name, you don't know any, like, you don't even know how many siblings I have. I know, like, that was a big focus, so, but at the same time, it's like, it's not really Aza's fault.
Right.
Because she does have, you know, OCD and anxiety really bad, so it's not her fault that she's like this. And Daisy knows that, but still has this resentment towards her because Daisy's a little bit of a attention seeker. She likes to be like the one that everyone's talking about. It's like a one-way street. She feels like Aza's not in the relationship or the friendship as much as Daisy is. So I guess I can see that, but I don't know. They both just need to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Or write a fan fiction for each other.
Right.
Write a fan fiction of them two talking, and then they reenact it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, instead of throwing shade in a Star Wars fan fiction, she could have just gone up to Aza and be like, hey, I feel like you're not really listening to me, bro.
Yeah.
Not like, I don't know, Princess Leia said to Aza, I hate you.
Oh, okay.
Anyways.
Of course she would be a Princess Leia. She gotta be the main character. Is she the main character? I don't know anything about Star Wars.
That's why I said Princess Leia.
Alright, who did you say was your favorite relationship?
So this one is honestly complicated for me. I think my favorite relationship / confusing relationship is between Davis and Aza, because I feel like Aza started it off on the wrong foot. I don't know, Daisy was like, just talk to him to get more information. And so they start talking, and yeah, they do fall in love, but then there's also this, like, worry that Davis has that she's only there for information. So then he just gives her $100,000, like, hey, if you love me and you're not using me for money, here's $100,000. And then she has to split it with Daisy, and I don't know, it just feels like it's kind of a manipulative relationship, but they also really care about each other. And like I said earlier, Davis supports Aza in ways that other people weren't able to, and like, but then there was the whole dynamic of Aza being afraid of kissing him, and that like kind of ruined their relationship because she didn't want to be with him in that way and was panicking, and that's what's, you know, made her start drinking hand sanitizer because she thought her brain was going to be full of microorganisms or something. So it's like, it was a very confusing relationship.
I feel like if she was more open with it, Davis would have understood. But she's just so closed off because she's worried about what other people are going to say, that she doesn't really get to see that people are going to accept her for who she is if she's just more open about it. The relationship could have been a little drawn out a little bit more if they had a little bit more. The entire story just needs to be everybody. Yeah. Either one, sit down and talk, or two, write a fan fiction about it. And then present it to the class.
I think John Green should write a second book about this, but it's from Daisy's perspective in a fanfiction.
Perfect.
There you go. That'd be great.
Alright. My other kind of favorite relationship is I really liked Noah and Davis. Because Noah, he's younger. He was just very emotional in the whole book. He was crying a lot. And Davis really stood up and was not a father figure, but being somebody that isn't gonna disappear like everyone else in his life.
Right.
So I really did like their relationship. Wish there was a little bit more, honestly. There wasn't a whole lot of scenes with Noah in it, so I wish there was a little bit more.
Because I think there was an age gap between the two, too. I think he kind of did have to act as a father figure quite a bit, but he did great. So.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm glad they at the end, they kind of left and went somewhere that was better for them.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that John Green does in his writing style is he does so many metaphors. A lot of metaphors. But there was one that I picked out that I think was my favorite was the nesting doll one. Everyone is a nesting doll. Everyone has a center that they don't tell anybody until they start peeling back every single one of the dolls. And I think that applies to literally every single one of the characters. Not only just Aza, as you read more about her, but all of the characters that he kind of dives into. Davis and Daisy and the mom even. Yeah, we didn't get to the center of the mom, but we get to see a couple shells. I really liked how interpreted that, because a lot of the metaphors didn't really make any sense all the time, but I really liked that one.
Speaking of metaphors, I feel like even the title itself being a metaphor didn't completely make sense to me, just because they were talking about how Aza feels like she doesn't have control of her life or how she sees the world compared to how Daisy sees the world, and how, like, she's always feeling controlled by medicine or bacteria, and Daisy's response to that is telling her a story about a man explaining to a scientist that the world does not exist by itself, but rather the world sitting on top of a turtle, on top of a turtle, on top of a turtle, all the way down. So I read that and I was like, I can only imagine if I was telling my friend, like, man, I'm so anxious, like, the world just seems to overwhelm me so much, and, like, you don't understand how I see the world, and my friend's like, did you know that, like, the scientist thinks that a turtle is, like, the weight of the world? Be like, okay, thanks for listening.
God, I didn't love that metaphor as well. I was just like, I couldn't connect the two together. I'm like, what does this have to do with literally anything?
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't get it, actually.
You know, comment below if you understand the title of the book. I was trying to think about it before I came on the podcast, but I just couldn't add it together. Like, it just didn't add up.
I don't know if she was trying to feed into her idea of, like, we don't really get to control anything. We're just on the back of a turtle. I don't understand the title of the book.
Yeah.
So,
the weight of the world isn't on you. It's on hundreds of turtles. Like, I don't know.
Well, how's that fair?
Yeah. So, poor turtles.
All the way down.
All the way down to where? Also, like,
it just never
stops.
No, it just keeps
turtles
going
forever. I would honestly, that'd be pretty dope. Like, if NASA, like, did it, like, they looked at the whole world and zoomed out, and there's just hundreds of turtles. I don't think I'd have depression anymore. Like, I just need turtles.
Do the turtles wear, like, little space suits?
Can they breathe? Are these turtles alive?
I think we're missing the point.
Yeah, I think so.
But at this point, I don't care.
Thank you, John Green.
You know what, John Green? You do you. Alright, so we're gonna hop into our little game now.
Sweet.
A lot of the story has to do with quotes. Like, every chapter, I believe, starts with a quote. She quotes a lot of famous authors, famous, singers, famous people throughout the story. So I figured I would bring my own little quotes. So I'm just going to read a quote to you, and you just got to guess who it is by.
Okay.
All right, so the first quote we have is, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing."
Dude, you chose the wrong game for me. I do not have no clue.
The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing.
Is it Walt Disney?
Yeah.
Lit! Yeah!
Yeah!
Woo!
Alright, here's another one. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I was literally about to say Neil Patrick Harris.
The first man on the moon! I don't know his name. Good job, Neil. Do it for the gays.
He was on the moon.
Neil
Armstrong! Yeah, not Neil Patrick Harris. Okay, that's fine.
Alright. I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious.
See, this sounds like another thing that Walt Disney would say, but it's not, so... Oh, I do know this. Einstein.
Yeah! See, big brain. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom.
Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. It sounds like someone intelligent.
Hint, think way back.
Was he a president?
No, farther. Presidents weren't even a thing.
Oh, shoot, okay. Presidents weren't even a thing.
Way back.
See, I don't know
Turtles
history.
all the way back.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
All the way back. All right, Jesus. All right, Mary.
Who?
So I didn't say Jesus, I said Mary, so that counts as a guess.
Okay, it's Aristotle.
Okay, yeah, I would have never gotten it.
Alright, last one.
Okay.
Okay, this one is gonna be, it's really hard, so...
Okay.
Okay, stop laughing. It's gonna be champagne wishes and caviar dreams from now on.
I wanted to say Gatsby. I don't know why. Okay, I'm gonna lock in my answer as Harry Styles.
No! It's Donkey from Shrek.
The Caviar Dreams, I didn't remember that
You
one.
almost had a perfect score, bro.
Dang it. Man.
So we're gonna hop into our next segment. Is there anything that you would have done differently? Anything that you would have changed? Your own personal opinion on this? Like, I, for example, would say maybe just a little bit more of a solid plot. I know we said that, but I just wish there was something I could have followed in the story, because I felt like I was brought this way and then left there, and then I was like pulled back this way and then left there. So I feel like there was not a solid plot. At times I would kind of forget that there was like a mystery going on, and then I would forget about their relationship until it was brought back up again. So I just wish there was more of a solid plot in the story.
I definitely agree with the plot. I think if I'm going to get more specific, I don't know, I think that mental health is a really big topic now in 2021, and I forgot when this book was written or when it came out, but I think a conversation of mental health was getting a lot bigger at the time, and it's gotten to where it is today, which is much better. But at the same time, I feel like it doesn't give a lot of hope to people. It's kind of like Aza's struggling the whole book, and she's trying a bunch of different medications. It's not working out for her. She's actually getting worse, and it sounds like her psychiatrist isn't really helping her in the way that she needs, and she doesn't switch psychiatrists or anything. She just stays, and she's not getting what she needs. I just felt like it could have gone into more detail of how things got better or how, like, they could get better, but instead it was just like the mystery was solved at the end, and then Aza just felt hopeful. For people who are struggling with something similar to Aza, it didn't feel very hopeful for them either. It's kind of just like, you're struggling, you can't find out what's going on, and now the book is over. It just seemed like if we're gonna talk about mental health, like, let's talk about mental health.
The plot of the mystery was so important to her story that it should have been integrated a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it wasn't, at least I didn't pick up at any reason why she was very, like, personally driven by this plot, besides, like, wanting to help Davis and wanting to find out what was going on. And Daisy felt like she was pressuring her more to follow this plot than really anybody.
Yeah.
So, but I agree, I wish there was more closure with Aza's story. You don't really get to see that progression. It just was like, boom, she's better now.
Right.
You get to see her get worse, which I don't want to say that's a good thing, but I think it was projected good, where you could see how it impacted her and how her thoughts impacted her and where it led her. But at the end, it was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Bye, peace out.
Right.
Like,
the mystery and the other aspects of it, it felt like two stories put into one. Like, because the mystery we didn't have too much information on. They just, like you said, they were just trying to, like, solve a random mystery, and then there was a whole bunch of other stuff on the side.
Yeah.
It didn't integrate super well, but I liked the concept.
Yeah. I feel like maybe a second time to the drawing board to kind of slim down some stuff.
Yeah.
No hate, John Green.
No.
You could tell the story any way you possibly want. This is just our opinions.
We love John Green here. It's fine.
So we're kind of finished up here. There's one more thing we need to do, though. We need to do the rating scale.
Oh, sure.
So we do the rating scale a little bit different here on the book stop. We kind of make up our own thing. So I personally would give Turtles All the Way Down 5 home-owning dinosaurs out of 10.
Yes, I love it.
Honestly, one of the lowest ratings on the pod that I've done. Again, no hate to John. I think he did a great job. But I just personally didn't love it. I just didn't like the story. I didn't feel connected to the characters at all. I wish there was just a little bit more of a solid plot, I guess.
Yeah, you know, I actually came with the same rating. I would give it 5 juicy fanfictions out of 10. And yeah, I kind of agree. I don't know if maybe it's just because I'm reading a John Green book at a later stage in my life, because I remember reading John Green's books, like, as a teenager, and I loved every single one of them. Like, I can't think of complaints for a lot of the other books. There are things here and there, but...
Yeah, like, he was one of my favorite authors growing up.
Same.
So.
I don't know if I'm just at a different stage in my life, so reading this one was different, but I just wasn't a huge fan of this one. Again, it felt like there was just a lot of different directions, and he could have gone in many different directions, but the one he chose, it was just, there was so much going on, and there was so much I wish that was added into the book that at the end, it just wasn't my favorite. But yeah, still love John Green, but it just wasn't my fave.
That's okay. That is
Be
okay.
like that sometimes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I think the next episode is not going to be till next year. So a little while. Wait for Ashley. And thank you again. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for turning the pages with us this week. If you've enjoyed this episode, show your support on social media. Don't forget to turn on your notifications to get a reminder of the next episode. Thanks again for listening to The Book Stop. Bye!